And we'll get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for April 11th, 2019. Q's down 0.25% there, and SPY basically flat. All right, so we're still doing these kind of inside congestion on the Q's and SPY here. Really nothing changing too much. I'm not going to make too big a deal of the fact that today's body is red. We're really still in this uptrend. Hourly uptrend is still intact. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see if we can get through today's low, what kind of follow through that gets, and then the next setup. So it's really not that imperative or urgent that we figure out where to initiate a bearish bias or lose our bullish bias. Daily says higher. Hourly is sideways. And like I said yesterday, the longer that we stay up here, the longer that we put in small bars, the longer that we put in this congestion, the more bullish it is. Now, we are moving into the time where earnings season is here and that we could get maybe a gap in the market and something else, and that will be really telling, but from this point, I don't, really am going to anticipate a gap down or a gap up, right? It'll really be about once we get it, what is the reaction and how does that change the hourly chart, okay? So we're going to remain neutral to bullish going into tomorrow. Just be aware that we do have earnings. So, if you have swing positions, just you want to check and make sure that they aren't reporting unless you do intend to hold them through earnings, right? Because the risk of them gapping against you, right, increases when they have an earnings report. Okay, so not too much to go over here. Market seems to be mostly in a holding pattern, but in the context of a bullish uptrend. So we're going to stay neutral bullish going into tomorrow. All right, let's go over the WTW. Was a gap down today. Had been moving lower and actually looked like maybe it was going to try to transition higher. Instead, it got this gap down today, clearing underneath these lows. WTW being one that, no, it wasn't the WTW. I'm thinking of the triple BY that reported earnings. But WTW, I think, got a downgrade. And then gapping underneath this base, underneath this support with really not anything to the left unless we go way, way back to 2017. So that support there really shouldn't be all that relevant today given how old it is. So the WTW, the expectation was lower because it is a pro gap. Okay, and so we got this nice base breakdown at the lows here off the 20 MA. This was the call on the WTW. Okay, and because at the time that this was breaking down, I didn't really see any kind of relevant daily support there immediately to the left. So the targets were just basically we're going to look to get a nice drop and then look to trail it once we get some nice follow through. And that's where we decided to trail it. As it started to accelerate, put in some bigger volume there near the lows, right? And then that's where we trailed it. 2-minute bar by bar on the front half over this bar. Notice the wide range bar, the increase in volume, signaling that we may be running into a bottom. Now the hope was that it was only going to be a short-term bottom, that we could continue. Otherwise, why hold the back half? But we did hold the back half and managed it as I typically do with these runners, and that is to look to trail it on the hourly here. And so it eventually trailed. Basically turned out to be just break even there because we shorted it under 1820 and then trailed over 1816. So, not the biggest play. Direction was good. I think the timing was pretty good as far as the most painless short trade to have on the WTW. You could have obviously shorted off the highs and then lived through this bounce, and that's not too bad, not too big a deal. But the WTW, nice follow through there. Okay, Sammy had a call on the KDP this morning. and that was pretty good as well. Nice drop there, and then dropped again into the end of the day there. So if you look at something like the KDP, you know, that's something nice hourly intact here until it bottoms. So yes, if you trail off the hourly, you can end up with some big trails and you're not going to end up at the bottom, but it will keep you in for most of the move if it's going to trend. And so that was the expectation with the WTW. I don't really have a problem with how it played out. Maybe a little bit disappointing that it didn't go further, but we did get half out here, and that's the reason we do, because that's pretty nice profit to be in. I think it was about an hour and a half there that we got on the front half. So not too bad on the WTW. We'll have a lot more exciting setups to go over, I anticipate, next week, and especially the weeks after. Because it takes about a week after JPM gets things started where we start to just get a lot of gaps, dozens and dozens, which are going to be good and playable. Now it's still just, you know, 1 or 2 on the hot list at a time, and then, you know, wait for it to see if they give us a setup. Okay, so going into tomorrow, as far as the market bias, just about as boring as it gets. Neutral to bullish, we're still in this congestion here. Not a lot going on. Same with the Qs. Okay, so we'll wait and see if we get something to change that over the next few days. But otherwise, going into tomorrow, last day of the week, just going to remain neutral to bullish, kind of as we have been. So it's just business as usual on the Qs and SPY, marching and grinding higher. Okay, so hope you did well today. If you didn't do too much, I think that's okay too. But if not, you participated in the calls, thought the KDP, the WTW, even the FAST were all pretty good. FAST was a long, but it'll definitely pick up here in the next week or so. Okay, so we'll see what the market brings us tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. Have a great evening.